Yo, what is up, bros? We're back with the Ultimate Artillery General Tournament. We have one final matchup to the play-in round, and then we get to the actual tournament itself. The final battle is Yeryomenko versus Alexander for that fourth spot. That then will go on to get absolutely obliterated by Zhukov. Alright, bros, first up, we've got Yeryomenko, 5-star artillery ability, 4 movement, has a hold fast perk, troop morale will not diminish when there's friendly units nearby within 1 grid of a 20% damage dealt by enemy. Obviously, this won't matter during the tournament where all we're worried about is damage, but final rankings, it might move him up a spot or two. Inspiration, he's the first bro with inspiration, so how are we going to calculate this since we are only attacking once per round? So I asked Grok, with the 30% chance of high morale triggering after annihilating an enemy, the 30% chance you get from inspiration from just attacking, and the fact that high morale lasts for 2 rounds, how often out of 10 rounds would it expect high morale to be in place? So, and I trust Grok's math. I wouldn't trust it to tell me about perks. I fed it the information. It gave me a output which was 6 to 7 rounds. So, I think what I'm going to do is just take the middle of that, say 6.5. Since we're attacking 10 attacks, I could make it like a percent. Basically, 65% of the time, add 40% damage. I think we can calculate that. Somebody had the idea of running the P40 to get the high morale to trigger and then attacking, but I can, there's only like 3 or 4 spots I can do that in where they're next to an enemy. And yeah, Grok is saying it should be up 6 to 7 rounds. So we'll just test it out this time around and like see how much it really changes the damage. Anyways, rounding it out, crossfire, artillery leader, and accuracy, and crapper Alexander. 5-star in artillery, 5 movement, has artillery barrage, which will add him some damage for as well, and has accuracy. Alright, Yeryomenko, your first attack. Let's see, like Ninonin, who is the top so far. Actually, Weidling is the top so far. Ninonin is right behind him. These bros are doing 600 to 700 damage on this hit. I mean, just below 6, I think. So, just based on one hit and what he can do, I'm thinking he's probably going to fall in the neighborhood of 3rd top damage so far. Obviously behind Weidling and Ninonin. Top damage on these bros is 495 from Weidling. Yeah, you're pretty damn far behind that. First city hit. You need to be right at the 500 mark, brother, if you're gonna stay close. I mean, okay. Yeah, I'm just thinking he's gonna be 3rd. That is my best guess. Need to do in the 5 to 6 on this. I mean, yeah, it's gonna keep him in that 3rd spot. Obviously, we know Alexander is bad. It's not really so much who's gonna win. We know Yeryomenko is gonna win. Maybe Alexander. Hold on, didn't Alexander actually? I was thinking there for a while he was the worst, but he actually wasn't, because Chuikov is actually the worst. And then Bagdolio is next. And then 3rd worst is actually Alexander. Yeah, he would have been 2nd worst, but remember we switched the perk to test it and it did a little bit better. Anyways, let's continue. From the HIMARS. It's gonna be almost impossible to see where he sets from these multiple hit scenarios with the HIMARS. Alright, 270 to 280 range. Yeah, he's just off the leaders. I mean, actually a pretty... Well, I don't know. We'll just have to see. And our dildo launcher attack. What about 300? I mean... He's consistently down by 50 to 100 versus the top bros. You could possibly, if everything hits just right, you could make up some major damage here. You could make up for some of those losses with some major hits here. This needs to be around 450 to 500. Still that same amount off. And our final attack on East Berlin. Alright, Alexander. You're up, brother. Alright, Alexander. This is more like, can Alexander improve? Can he move up to maybe 4th worst? That's below what he got for his max, which was 424. His max here was 279. Can you beat your old score, brother? No. In fact, that was your worst performance. Yeah, he's gonna... Shit, bro might even drop. Bro is digging himself a hole. He might move down a spot. He might become the 2nd worst. Oh, and you just keep... Actually, that was kind of on par with what you were getting. You always suck at that hit, I suppose. You need 287 here, brother. Basically, right where he was at. And his HIMARS attack. No idea if that was good or bad. Top hit here is 209 for the bro. You know, we went through 2 entire rounds. You know, we went the original one, and then when we switched the perk, he's doing worse than both of those right now. Make this dildo launcher attack count, brother. I don't think that's gonna... Actually, that was okay for him. Again, you need some monster hits here to make up some ground. I don't see it happening. I don't see you coming back from the hole you already dug for yourself. 329 is his max hit here. Yeah, he is worse than ever. Bro might even be vying for that worst spot. Bro, maybe he's trying to lose to Bagdolio, and then that's not even enough, and he wants to be worse than Chuikov. We'll have to see where he ranks. Oh my god. Yeah, this is gonna be bad. Alright, bros, the calculations are in. First, I realized a problem, and that was calculating the damage from High Morale and Inspiration. That being, I trust Grok's calculation that would be placed 6 to 7 rounds out of 10. That's fine. It's the damage part. You know, the 25% for just the base High Morale and then the 15 added for Inspiration would make 40. I can't use 40 because every single general we've tested and will test has that opportunity to get the regular trigger for High Morale and the 25% damage. And since we haven't included it with anybody, we still have a nice base and we still have a nice comparison. It's just every general, you could say, should have a little bit more damage. So what I do need to do now is just for the bros that have Inspiration, add 15% damage to that. Which in the case of Yeryomenko ends up being 635. Anyways, Yeryomenko beat Alexander every single time, unsurprising. We gave Alexander his 125 for his artillery barrage. Anyways, overall damage for Yeryomenko was 7,146. was 2,193 more than Alexander, was doing 200 average damage more, and had a max hit of 276 more. So where does that rank Yeryomenko? 7,146. Well, as I thought, that ranks him behind Weidling and Ninonen for third place in top damage. Nobody else has even broke 7,000 yet. As far as Alexander's performance, what did he have? He had 4,900. That places him in the middle of his other two attacks. So I guess he got a nice average. So the top damage bros in order: Weidling, Ninonen, Yeryomenko, Lieb, Sikorsky, Zhang, and averaging Alexander's 3 attacks, he falls below Taruchi now. Rounding it out, Alexander, Bagdolio, and Chuikov. Alright bros, the updated bracket is done. Yeryomenko moves on to face Zhukov. That's going to be a godforsaken bloodbath. Next battle we do. Let's see here. Probably going to be... I'll probably start at the bottom. Bradley versus Williams. Govorov versus Brauchitz. And then De Gaulle versus Ninonen. And then Zhukov versus Yeryomenko. Bros, if you're enjoying this content, you know what to do. Subscribe, hit the notification bell, so I can upload. Peace.